So to do the master volume automation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this track. Doesn't really matter, but I like to do the last track. And I hit X to get to the mixer. And then I'm going to go to the master volume, this track right here. And I'm going to find a spot that is not going to mess with anything. And then 2-finger click, and then create track. So what happens is a new track is formed, this master track. Now, it has all of our settings on here, which I don't want to touch. The only thing I'm going to do, which I've been talking about for a while now, is automate the volume. You can automate lots of different things, but I find dealing with that is risky. So automating the volume is something that I do. So I'm going to hit A for automate. And I'm not going to mess with most of the track, but I am going to do this before the drop. So like right there. So we have 4 pre-drops right there. And then I'm also going to do it at the end. So let's see where we're at. So the drop is at 25. So what I do typically is go 4 bars beforehand, and I will make an automation point. Then I'll go to the drop, and I'll zoom in as much as I can. So I'm hitting Alt or Option and scrolling. And then I make an automation point here. Okay, and I want this perfect. So this is right at the beginning. 25, 1, 25, 1, 1, 1. Okay, if there's a point there, that means it's a little late. Okay, and in between these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the volume of the master track up until the drop. So I'm going to pick a point here. I'm going to make it close to there. But then when I zoom in, you'll see that it goes much farther. So I want to make it farther here, even closer, as close as I can get it. So now, right now it actually says I'm adding something, which I don't want to do. Uh-oh, I did something wrong there. All right, so I just hit undo. So now, what I used to do -2 decibels, but I've found that -2 might be even a little too much. So I've been doing -1.5 lately, and we're gonna just hear how it sounds. If this is too intense, then we're gonna do something probably less. But if it's not intense enough, we might do something more. So this is as close as it will let me go with the volume automation. So this is what it looks like. So for the last 4 bars before the drop, I'm very slowly lowering the volume. You can see right here that the master volume is going down. So I start at normal volume, and I'm lowering it, and right before the drop is -1.5, and then the drop, it just gets louder. So I'm not cheating in terms of making the track louder. I'm just making the difference between the build up and the drop larger. So it's a larger difference. So that means that the drop will sound like it's hitting harder. So let's actually listen to see what that sounds like.
Ooh yeah.
So I thought that sounded pretty good. If anything, it might be a little too quiet because I kind of did a good job of mixing it so it sounded quieter already. So I'm going to move this up to -1.2 and let's see what that sounds like.
Ooh yeah.
Great. So now I'm going to go to the next part of the drop. So the next drop is at 49. So I'll do the same thing. Now you could copy and paste it, but I just think it's easier to not do that just because of how exact we want this to be. So I'm going to zoom in as much as I can. Perfect, right on the dot. And then I'm going to zoom back out 4 bars before, so that's a 45. This one, it doesn't have to be as exact. And then I'm going to zoom back in here as much as I can. I'm going to bring this down 1.2. And then bring this over as much as I can until it doesn't let me do anything more than that. So let's listen to see how that sounds. I think we could have done a little bit more reduction. So I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna go down to 2 actually, just to see what that sounds like. Okay, I kind of like, I didn't mind that. Let me go back and see what this one would sound like with -2. I don't mind -2 here, actually. I thought it would be too intense, but it wasn't bad. So let's just keep it at -2, because I think that it's definitely noticeable. I think especially because we have those really heavy-hitting kicks beforehand, and then, what did I just add automation to? I'm going to hit undo. What I was trying to say is we have those heavy-hitting kicks beforehand, and then just the vocals. So I think that's fine. So let's just do -2. But once again, sometimes if -2 is too much, I'll do -1.5, and just use your ears. Trust your ears. All right. Now, this is another fun scenario, because we go into the fake drop. So typically what I do is I don't raise the volume before the fake drop. I'll do it before everything actually comes in with the sub. So right here at 101 is when I'm going to do it. But I'm still going to lower it at the build-up. So I'll start that there, and then what I am going to do. Oh no, that was wrong. Hold on, undo. So yeah, 101. Maybe 97 was correct. All right, cool. Now I'm going to go to 101. I'm going to bring this over here, get it as close to 101 as I can. Oh, almost. Ugh, it's annoying sometimes. Let's see, can we get it to 101? There we go. All right, so this is exactly 101. But instead of lowering this right now, I'm going to go to 105. Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, okay, I was off by 4 bars. All right, so this is fine. I'm going to go over to 93. This is where I want to start. That one does not have to be as exact. So now I'm going to add a point here. And what I'm going to do here is bring this down to 2 decibels, because that's where we liked it, -2. And then I'm going to move this over. Like that.
Ooh yeah.
All right, that sounds great. So once again, I don't know if I explained this great, but we still have our buildup slowly going down, but now I leave it at -2 up until everything comes in. So that's what I've accomplished here. So that's why this shape of the automation looks different than this and this. And then last, I have part 2 of the second drop, or part B. So I'll go over here. And then that happens at 121. Let's zoom in more. It's being annoying. Let's see if I can just add a new point. There we go. All right, so now let's see, I have that second point here. Perfect. So I'll take this point, bring it down 2 decibels, move it over as much as I can. I think I can do a tad more. Perfect. All right, so let's see how that sounds. Perfect. And now last is, I always do this just so nothing goes up to chance, or if there are things that are ringing out that I'm cutting off. What I do is I automate the volume at the very end to go to 0. So let's see, where are we? All right, so this is where the last cymbal rings out to, around here. I might want everything to end at this bar. This is 4 bars of ringing out. So what I will do is at 139, hit A to get to automation again. I'll pick a point here. If I want everything done at 141, I'll pick a point here, and then maybe I'll pick a point like this, and I'll bring this down, all the way down to negative infinity. That means nothing will come out. So that's a little too harsh. So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll curve this. So the way I like to do this is use the automation curve tool with my secondary click. So when I hit command, I can curve it like that. So let's see if that makes it sound any better. So listen to the last 2 bars. It still sounds a little too fast, so I might move this. Maybe I'll keep it like this, and then I'll move this over a bar. Maybe I'll move this a tad over here. All right, that was fine. I think we might be able to push this up a little bit more. So maybe halfway through the bar. So we go here. Perfect. All right, I just saved it. And this is a great first mastered draft. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bounce this out, okay? And here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna hit Command A to highlight everything. And then I'm gonna go to this automation, and I'm gonna move this over here to line up with that last point. And if you notice, I always have this point a tiny bit to the left because I'm going to have this be my last point. I want the last point of my song to be completely silent. So at the beginning, there's nothing special. It's just the first bar. And then we have the end all lined up. So now everything is cycled. I hit C to get that yellow cycle bar up at the top, this one. And it stops right there. Perfect. The volume's down. So now what I'm going to do is bounce this out. So I'm going to hit Command B. And anytime I bounce a mastered version, I don't just do an MP3. If I was just listening to a demo, I might just do an MP3, but I always do the PCM, which is like the uncompressed audio file. You can either do AIFF or WAV. I think I just leave it as AIFF, maybe. I don't really know. You could do a WAV file. It's the same thing. They're both uncompressed audio. Well, they're not the exact same thing. Anyway, and then I also bounce out an MP3. My bit rate, you should have it at the highest bit rate possible, 320 kilobits per second. 256 is probably fine. You probably won't notice the difference. But once you get down to the 160, 128, 112, you will start noticing a difference. It'll be a lower quality. Anyway, so I'm going to keep this the same. I just keep best encoding on, and then filter frequencies below 10 hertz. We won't be able to hear those, and even like really good subwoofers probably won't be able to reproduce those frequencies. So I just get in the habit of keeping this on. And then let's see, joint stereo. You could do normal stereo. I've been doing joint stereo. I don't think you'll notice a difference. And then I almost always do offline mode. but you could do real time where you're listening to the track. I find that I get more consistent results with offline mode. Sometimes as it's bouncing, there will be a mistake. So make sure you listen to your track. And if there's a mistake or there's something that is off, you can go ahead and try to rebounce it or change something to make sure that that's the case. Like oftentimes I will bounce out an audio file if it's like a MIDI thing that's not behaving or not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Include tempo information. You can. This might help if you're importing your track to a DJ software. Normalizing won't do anything. I guess for mine, it would bring it up by 1 decibel because I have it down, or by 0.1 decibels. So I just keep it off. And then ID3 tag. This is good for your like getting your metadata. So I'm going to call this track Ooo Yeah, just because that's what it says before the bass comes in. And then I always do a version system. So because this is the first time that we have bounced out a track, I will almost always do V0. There's a very, 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 very low chance that this version is the final version of our track. So I'm calling this Ooo Yeah V0. Artist name, TimmyG, but you'd obviously put your artist name. And then that's really all I fill in. So since we did our key information, it says F minor, but if like I don't always update my key information in Logic, so then you might have to pick a key. I'll leave it as F minor. And then when I hit OK, actually before I hit OK, I'm going to copy and paste this because when I do Command C, when it asks me to save the file name, I'll just copy and paste this. So Command C, and I'm going to hit OK. So now this is May, even though it's June right now. So I'm going to go to Logic Pro X Bounces. I have a folder system the way that I am bouncing tracks. So I just have it for years, and then I have a folder for each month that just helps me organize it. So I'll go to June of 2025 right here. This is the first track that I've bounced in June. So I'm going to just hit Command V for Ooo Yeah V0. And then when I hit bounce, it'll bounce this track out as an uncompressed audio file, and then it will convert that into MP3, and we'll see 2 files here. So I'm bouncing this out right now. And as you can see, it's faster to bounce it not on real time because this track's about 3 minutes and 45 seconds, whereas this will take us maybe 30 seconds to bounce. All right, so now we've bounced this track out. I haven't even listened to it start to finish. But the reason why I did V0 and not V1 to start is V1 is the first possible naming convention that I would use that I might actually put it out. V0 means I'm pretty sure I'm going to be making changes. And here's why I'm pretty sure I'm going to be making changes. The next part of my mastering process is to listen to this song as many times as I can on as many different speakers as I can. And take notes, figure out what I need to tweak, make changes on, compare it to other songs in the genre. So I'll listen to other dubstep songs that I have, other dubstep songs that other artists make, and see how it compares. Does it sound similar? Is it the same volume? Are there things about the other tracks that I like more than my track? So I'm going to take notes on those. I'm going to listen to those. I'm going to listen to this song a bunch of times. Another reason why I call this V0 is because I've been producing this entire music course with my headphones on. I always, always, always use my actual speakers, my studio monitors, when I'm making final adjustments to the tracks. So the next part of this course is I'm going to listen to this. There's not going to be videos of me listening to this. I'm going to listen to this on lots of different speakers, but I am going to come back with my notes, and the final steps are going to be me mixing on my actual studio monitors. So anyway, we're almost done with this track. I'm so excited, and only a few more steps to go.